It's a fucking Sunday. Like, what the fuck are they doing? See what I mean, guys? Like, by traffic, like, we literally just passed, like, stop and go, and it's a Sunday at, like, 3 o'clock. Like, it doesn't make any sense. The infrastructure is, like, 30 years behind the times. That's the problem. Too many people, not enough roads. And people are driving too far to work, and because people have to work all the time to pay the bills, there's always fucking people on the road. That has to be it. I mean, I don't see any... Go. I don't see any other explanation. And it's pretty much like this all the time now, until like Woodstock. You pretty much have to go as far as Brantford at least, if not Woodstock, for traffic to finally start to come back, you know, to normal levels where you can actually get up to the speed limit. It's like, you know, like the 100k speed limit. It's ridiculous. Like, there's... Right now I'm doing like 60, and this is pretty much the best you'll get in the fast lane. And then, well, I'm on my bike, so people aren't bullying me as much, but if I was in my car, people would be on my ass in this lane. It's like, well, what are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do? No one moves. I can't pass them. Yet another reason why I want to get out of the GTA. Too much, ugh, too much bullshit. Like, you're paying $1 million to be in this? Like, really? Now we're doing like friggin' 30. Freaking 30k an hour. And like, look around. Like, what's around? Like, I don't get it. Like, where are they all going to? Finally, you pretty much have to get past Burlington near Hamilton for the traffic to finally get more within reason. Even here, there's still quite a bit of cars on the road, but at least you're getting up to the limit. See, we just passed the Hamilton sign. You gotta get this far. It's ridiculous. I don't even want to talk about the 401. It's even worse than this, than the 403. Alright guys, so finally I'm out of shithole 403. That's what, let's call it for what it is. I'm so bitter and dark. The shithole 403. I mean, it's enough to drive your brain crazy. Always packed with traffic, 24/7. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. They let people move there, but don't provide any infrastructure. So that looks like a nice road. Towns, you know, like they have like, I like these, you know, towns and stuff. They have all this like, kind of like cool looking stuff. Anyway, so yeah, you know what? So I feel like now is a, hey boy, is a good time. Actually, it might be a girl. I'm not sure. it's a great time to talk about some alternatives to Toronto. I'm always going on about how shit it is and how it's going downhill. How about I talk a little bit more positive and some good alternatives? Now, Canada is a huge, huge country, right? Now, I know there isn't that many major cities. There's only a handful of them. But that doesn't mean you have to live in one of these major cities, especially Toronto, as terrible as it's becoming. You don't have to live there. You don't have to. I'm saving to get out myself, so basically, if you want to live somewhere that's affordable, there are some places. Now, you might get a job that pays less overall. However, mind you, the cost of living in the places that I'm going to mention is very low, and you could possibly even live on minimum wage in some of these places. Because even if you have just a one-bedroom apartment, they could go for $600 to $800 a month. So, and up north, if you're living in Northern Ontario, a lot of those places actually include utilities. Also, property prices are very low. So, anyhow, so let me name a few cities where you could live that are, or in towns, of course, that are affordable. Now, in terms of, Southern Ontario, you pretty much have to go at least 2 to 3 hours outside of Toronto for prices to come, for rental prices and housing prices to come back to reality. So, in London, I think the average housing price is $350,000. Yeah, about $350,000. You can get a condo for around $150,000, and I think rents go for around $800 to $900 a month. Now, I'm not sure if they include utilities there a lot. And in Southern Ontario, they tend not to include utilities and rental costs. And when I'm talking $800, $900, I'm talking like a one-bedroom apartment. So, another place, I have a friend who actually moved there. It's quite nice. There's not too much traffic. There's about 400,000 people there, so it's still not, the middle of nowhere. It's still a city big enough to have quite a bit of stuff. Another city you can move in, but as a lot of people say, it's literally Canada's butt. It's literally Canada's bum. Like, it's the butthole of Canada. I'm sorry. It's affordable, but it's not that nice. It's it's kind of dilapidated and decrepit, and that is Windsor. I'm sure I'm going to offend some people, but it's Windsor. And yeah, it's very affordable to live there. Rents typically for a one-bedroom apartment go $600 to $800. Now, again, I don't think that includes utilities in most places. However, property prices are also quite low. You can get a condo for like $125,000, like a one-bedroom. Housing prices actually start almost the same. They start around $125,000. And if you look hard, you can get a nice small house, like a 1,200, maybe 1,500 square foot house for under $200,000, like an older home. And yeah, and it's not that small. I mean, it's 200,000 people, so there's still quite a few things there. The main thing I personally don't really like about it is it's, kind of dilapidated and industrial, so. Windsor's kind of home to, I think it's steel. Steel is there? Yeah, but over the years, a lot of, industries kind of died off. So it's got kind of this industrial, decrepit feel to it, so. But yeah, it's a city of 200,000. There's still quite a few things there, so that's what you want to live. And the climate is actually a little bit warmer than here, I think, so. Can border. I think we're in, what's this place called? What is it called? St. George? I think this is what it is, St. George. Kind of a nice little town, not too big. Has kind of this old feel to it, which I like. It's expensive to live here, by the way, guys. It's still like $500,000, $600,000 for a house here, so. Now, if you choose Northern Ontario as a place to live, you don't mind the snow, you don't mind the cold weather. Now, mind you, there are, even though Northern Ontario is colder overall, you can actually use the winter for something. You can do snowmobiling, because they don't really get wet snow and ice like they do here. It's more just hard packed snow, so you can actually do something with it. So you could do snowmobiling, you can do ice fishing in the winter, and then in the summertime you can do fishing again. You can do boating, you can do motorcycle riding, lots of great roads with little traffic, lots of country roads. You know, it's kind of a biker's dream. It doesn't take too long to get outside of the cities and towns in Northern Ontario, because they tend to be relatively small. Oh, and they don't use salt as much in Northern Ontario, so your car doesn't rot to pieces. That's something nice. The roads can be pretty bad. In Northern Ontario, they kind of get, you know, the foot up the asshole from the province, because nobody cares about them. It's unfortunate. And they have a history of being exploited in Northern Ontario. It's one of the most mineral-rich areas in the world. So a lot of these companies, you know, the owners, they take all the money and don't give anything back to the community, which is kind of BS in my opinion. But anyhow, enough of the negativity. So, in terms of Northern Ontario, there's quite a few little towns where you can live, and there are a few cities. There are a few cities, like small cities. You've got Sudbury, which has about 150,000 people, about 5 hours north of Toronto. That's kind of where Northern Ontario starts. It's a city, I think, of about 150,000 people. It's very spread out. The property prices are very good there. You can get Sudbury tends, I guess it's probably the most expensive town to live in Northern Ontario, but still very affordable. You can buy a small house still for under $200,000. Housing prices, I would say, start around $120,000, $140,000 for a 2 or 3 bedroom house. Small house, you know, 1,200 square feet, maybe 1,500. Older homes, of course, tend to get bigger yards out there, which is kind of nice. In Northern Ontario in general, like, you got pretty big yards usually. Condo prices are almost the same as small houses. They go for between $150,000 to $200,000, so still, you know, fairly affordable. But in my opinion, you might as well just get a house at that point. It's almost the same price, like a small house. Rents are pretty good. If you try hard, you can find $600 to $800 a month. You know, maybe in a nicer, you know, a little higher end area, maybe $1,000 a month. However, in Sudbury, I've noticed, again, like I said before, they usually include utilities in the rent. So, which is quite nice, because Northern Ontario tends to be colder for longer, so it can save you quite a bit of money. Another little downfall, I guess, with Northern Ontario, they tend not to have AC in their houses and apartments. However, at night it tends to drop down to 15, so you can kind of just open the windows and it's fine. Or you could just buy one of those window AC units. It's also drier up in northern Ontario. It's not as humid, so especially the further you get from the lakes, the less humid it gets. So, and the winters are nice and dry at least. Even though it's really cold, it's nice and dry. So, and I don't know, it's a more relaxed kind of way of life out there. So, another town, which is about 3 hours north of Toronto, is North Bay. Apartments, 1 bedrooms, go for about $600 to $800 a month, including utilities in most places. Houses are pretty cheap. They start around $140,000, 120, maybe $120,000 even. You can definitely get a nice small house there, like 1,200 square feet for under $200,000. And you're still not too far from Toronto, I guess, if you want to go for the weekend, about 3 hours. It's kind of, that's again kind of a gateway town, as they call it, the gateway to the north, North Bay. That's real Northern Ontario, guys. Barrie is not Northern Ontario. That is a suburb of Toronto, and it's becoming overpriced as well. Now, another place that you could, another nice town, my friends live near there, on the Quebec side, and that's New Liskeard. New Liskeard property prices start around $70,000 for a fixer-upper. Small, small house. You can definitely get a nice house for $200,000, like a small house. Well maintained, new stuff inside. I've seen some like 140, 120, 150,000. Literally the whole thing has been redone. New windows, new everything. Again, most houses don't include AC, so you might want to get a AC unit, like a small one. Some do include AC, some do. But it's not really needed. Like I said, it gets down to 15 degrees at night, so in the summertime, so it tends to cool down the house. And of course, another thing that's nice about Northern Ontario, there's actually a period where it's not too hot or too cold. Here in Southern Ontario, you go, it's cold till May, and then within a month it's too hot, so and it's always humid. Again, tends to be more dry up there. I'm gonna do a U-turn at some point. I gotta get back home, so let's see. Find a nice little side road. I could use people's driveway, but yeah, why don't you use people's driveway? I don't want to attract attention. And I have seen actually one house was $87,000 in New Liskeard. Small house, 900 square feet, but bungalow. But you know what? It's fine for a single person or somebody with just a girlfriend. 2 bedroom, of course. So you could have room for some guests. Oof, it's bumpy. Oh, trailer park. Look at that. I don't see those too often in Southern Ontario. Alright, let's make a U-turn here and to go back home and feed my cat before I go to my job again. Look at that, guys. It's a freaking trailer park. It looks like it. It's kind of camps, conference, retreats. Doesn't look like a shithole though, it looks decent. They're not very common here in Southern Ontario. Up north you'll see them more, but not here. Hey man. Other places you could live in Northern Ontario are Timmins. That's another fairly big city. Oh, by the way, North Bay's got a population around 50,000, so it's still got quite a bit of stuff, quite a few restaurants and stores and stuff. You got Timmins. That's another town you could live. I think population's around 44 or 45,000. It's fairly north from here, though. It's about 8 hours north. Oh, fuck, I missed it. It's okay. It's okay. Probably shouldn't be doing that. It's okay. Whatever. There's no one here. Jesus, awkward road to turn on. Alright. So yeah, you got Timmins. Population of 46,000, I think, 44,000 people. So it's kind of, again, a major hub for Northern Ontario. Again, you might think that's tiny, but there are towns, like I said, like New Liskeard, where it's like 7,000, 8,000 people, so still, it's not that small. Housing prices are very cheap there. I think housing prices start around 80,000. You can definitely get something good under 200,000. A small house, all redone and stuff. Rental prices usually include utilities, around $600 for a one-bedroom. So you could basically live on minimum wage there as long as you're working full time. You're getting paid like a good wage, you know, you're gonna be living very good. You'll have a good standard of living. Winters are very long, but again, they're dry. You get to do quite a bit of stuff outdoors, snowmobiling, skiing, you know, cross-country skiing, I guess. So even when it is hot, it's nice. Again, most places don't include AC. That don't have it. There's other places you can live. Again, they tend to be smaller towns, but Kirkland Lake is quite nice. It's kind of a retirement community, but if you can get a job there, like maybe a government job or something like a sales job, or at least a full-time job at like a grocery store, something like that, you can still live very decently there. You can pretty much live on minimum wage as long as you're working full-time. Housing prices start around 60,000 for a fixer-upper. Many houses are like 120, 130,000 in great shape. And that's a town, I think, of about I think it's about 9,000 people. And that's between, that's about an hour north of New Liskeard. And, yeah. And then there's some other towns, guys, I'd advise you to look at, maybe Cochrane, Kapuskasing. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully it wasn't too long. I'm kind of humming a lot, but thanks for watching and have a great day.